An artist from Sussex has raised almost £500,000 for charity by selling his self-confessed, it's important to say that, rubbish drawings, people's pets.
We don't agree, though, do we?
There's a few of them here.
I don't think they're rubbish. I think they're quite quirky and nice. Phil Heckles, who goes by the name Hercule van Wolfwinkle, attracted a cult following after posting a portrait of his dog on Facebook in 2020. Take a look at some of his artwork.
I'm very pleased to say we can speak to Phil now. Good morning, Phil. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Charlie. The sun's shining, the bees are singing, the birds are trying not to get drawn by me. Like, life's good. Yeah, it's all good,
Tell
thank
me,
you.
Phil, always curious about artists, authors, artists like yourself. Have you been drawing this morning? Have you been inspired already? Is that how it works? You just sit and do stuff?
Short answer is no, I haven't drawn this morning yet, but I do draw every day. So I've got about 80,000 requests for portraits in the inbox, so I've got enough to keep me busy. So I draw every day, but I've been kind of getting ready to join you guys this morning. So no drawing yet, but there will be some later probably.
Phil, just let me check. How many people have you got outstanding waiting for portraits or dogs? How many?
About 80,000. So it's a rough sort of estimate, but about 80,000 requests for portraits. So the whole process is a lottery as to who gets picked out of the inbox. But yeah, that's the sort of educated guess, around about that many.
That is quite extraordinary. I mean, that's almost to the point of being daunting, I would imagine, from your point of view.
Weirdly, actually, so it was more daunting when we had lower numbers, because then I kind of felt the pressure to get to everybody, if that makes sense. So when I first started out, like, I think by the end of about the first week of posting the first picture of Nala on Facebook, I had about 100 requests for portraits. And that was the first point in which I nearly just stopped, because that was kind of more daunting, because, like, you know, 100 portraits is kind of doable, right? You know? But once it kind of blew up and went viral the first time round, the portrait requests ran into their thousands, and it very quickly just became a lottery. And actually, that's kind of more comfortable, because we're clear about the fact that it is just a lottery as to who gets picked out. And so it kind of, you know, alleviates a bit of that pressure of getting to everybody. I just simply know it's not going to happen.
Morning, it's Naga, Phil. Thanks for joining
Naga.
us. Hello. Have you figured out yet that your drawings aren't rubbish?
I get told off for calling them rubbish now by the people that follow what I do, because they obviously have come to the project because they like what I do. I still think they're rubbish in the context of the original joke. So the original joke that, you know, when I put that very first portrait of Nala out on Facebook just to my mates was, look at this kind of rubbish portrait, but if you want a really good one. So the original joke was kind of people putting in a request and expecting what I'd call a proper pet portrait, if that makes sense. So I still think they're rubbish in the context of the original gag, but I get that kind of people now, it's kind of developed into what it is, and people see them now as kind of funny and endearing and silly, and I love that, because the whole thing is just about trying to spread a little bit of joy and silliness into the world.
What made you put wife fronts on a dog? Yellow wife fronts on a dog?
So that's a question I never thought I'd get asked 5 years ago. And it's a question I get asked all the time now. Basically, it was just as simple as the very first time I had a dog in, let's kind of call it a compromising position. I didn't know how to deal with that. My artistic abilities weren't good enough, so I just stuck some Y fronts on it. And the first few pairs of Y fronts that I drew were just kind of white and grey, and then they became yellow because I just wanted to use some colour, you know, like when you're drawing people's pets, you're using blacks and browns browns and whites and nothing kind of particularly colourful. And my yellow pencil was sitting in the pencil case looking at me kind of saying, am I ever going to get used? And so the white fronts became yellow just
really
for that reason.
It's
really.
as good an answer as any, that one. I just need to say, you're raising, obviously, quite a bit of money for charity along the way as you're doing these. It's clearly really important to you.
Yeah, I mean, so at the heart of everything, the portraits, basically the process of the portraits is they're all free. I've never charged for a portrait because you've seen them, right? Like, you can't charge people for those. And the project, while it didn't start out as a charity endeavour, probably 2 or 3 weeks into the process, a friend of mine who I'd drawn his dog wanted to give me some money for it. And I didn't want to accept anything. And so I said to him, give some money to Turning Tides, who are my local homelessness charity. And that was when this fundraising idea kind of came along. And, you know, 5 years ago, I wasn't an artist. And 5 years ago, I also didn't realise I had this passion for fundraising. But that's become the driving force for carrying on the project. And so, yeah, the portraits are free. And then people make a donation if they want to. And we fundraise for Turning Tides and for Street Vet, both of which are kind of centred around homelessness. And what's been so overwhelming about the whole project is the reason we've raised £400,000 is not because people are just donating if I draw their pet. You know, more people just donate whether I've drawn their pet or not. They just like what I do. And that's been the overwhelming thing about the whole project is the thousands of people that have come to this and they've kind of gone, do you know what? If this is why you're doing it, and because your portraits keep us entertained, of course, we'll just chuck a couple of quid into your... Well, look, I call it my virtual busker's hat.
I think it's... Phil, there's a lot of delight in what you do. I'm sorry to cut you off there. We have to finish, but, you know, even looking at them this morning, I think has given people a lot of joy. So thank you.
You can see more
Thanks
Phil's
very much
artwork.
Indeed.
You can see more Phil's artwork in his new book, More Rubbish Pet Portraits.
Which is fair enough. Would you like to see some pictures of people doing pictures of their dogs today? Just to spread a bit of joy.
Why not?
This is going to bring
Why not? Oh, how lovely.
Ari, thanks very much. The reason we can show you this is we asked you to send in your own pet portraits. You have not disappointed. Shall we start? This one's from Ruth, who's... Wow, that's really good. This is her daughter's attempt at a Hercule-style portrait of their Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Squee. Wonderful.
Next one. Rich and Ali sent in this pet portrait of their dog, Lou. I mean, again, I think there's a lot of talent there.
Darren has an interpretation of his daughter's dog, Ruby. See, I like that. I like it's rather abstract. I like that.
All right, what do you think about that one? Do you think it's... Yeah?
It's wonderful.
I think it's good. That's kind of unique style, isn't it? I like it.
John designed a graphic interpretation of his friend's pet cat, Touter, after she passed away. That's very lovely.
That's got the highest score so far, I think. That's very good.
Line drawing for me. This person says they add a drawing of their whippet, Charlie, to every card they buy their wife. That's Charlie, wonderful. And a portrait, not just dogs, of Harry the hamster. We also had Harry the hamster sent in by Lorna as well.